No spin zone! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Factor. Are you ready to destroy some snowflakes? The topic tonight, French liberals and how they are taking over the country. In our lineup tonight, we have multiple reporters in the field, as well as callers, ready to inform you of the many liberal schemes that are being cooked up. Remember, the overarching theme of tonight's broadcast is to identify what is causing unrest in France, and to highlight just how great the conservative order is for the nation. The first report we have coming in is that the French Liberals have just won a number of seats in the Chamber of Deputies, obviously through voter fraud. We're going to get to our man in the thick of things, Croissant Baguette, outside the chamber for more details.
Let me tell you, Dave, I'm freezing my ass off out here. Anyways, bonjour. We are out here outside Parliament.
Hey,
The
you
liberals.
suck!
You kidding? God. Where the liberals have just gained enough seats to actually matter. It is a tragic moment in French history, as now the opposition can force our glorious leader to the bargaining table to appoint a less conservative ministry. Also, with their newfound voice, they could even try to force the king into agreeing to the constitutional monarchy. You know what?
Sorry about that, folks. Looks like the libs are getting more and more vicious every day. Now, let me break it down for you folks at home. An assembly dominated by liberals will spell certain doom for our country, even more so than global warming. This is because it means that the king can be forced into an actual constitutional monarchy, which would go against our glorious conservative core values. Let's now hear from our main man, CT, who is currently reporting on the ongoing riots in response to the king issuing his 4 ordinances to combat the fraudulent vote.
Hello, David. Thank you for having me on your subpar show. I'm here today standing outside the Eiffel Tower, of course, and I'd like to address the notable July revolution that's been going on with the people. It seems as if Charles's great idea, hold on, I'm getting attacked out here, it seems as if Charles' idea to have an election seemed to have backfired on him, and in fact the people are now outraged. Hello, Dave. Sorry for the breakup earlier. The people seem pretty rowdy out these ways. I had to get to safety very quickly, although it seems as if they've settled down for the meantime. There aren't really too many out here. We've got a couple of goers going at it. Although, you can hear the incessant shouting of the liberals as well in the background. I don't really know what to say. The liberals are very displeased at the fact that King Charles is taking action against their election they seem to have won, even though it was all due to voter fraud anyways. Now his troops are attempting to pacify Paris, and we'll see where the rest takes us. Well, back to you now, Dave.
Okay, let's review what the liberals are crying about here. The 4 ordinances. They are 1. Restrict freedom of the press. 2. Dissolve the recently elected Chamber of Deputies. 3. Limit franchise to only the wealthy. And 4. A call for new elections. Now, many of you at home may be reading on liberal newspapers that you should reject our king's actions and that maybe like revolt or something. Let me tell you, you shouldn't. Because let me remind you that a core conservative value is the fact that our monarchs are keeping the peace. Now, let's go to Polar Lacroix, who's currently interviewing people throughout France to gauge the reactions to the recent violence.
Hello, I'm Polar Lacroix. I'm reporting live from northern France. Excuse me, sir, what do you have to say about liberals' complete disregard for the traditions that are celebrated
I
here
don't
in
know
France?
what you're talking about.
I think you do know what I'm talking about,
Nope,
sir.
I don't know what you're talking about. Stay there. Stay there. Don't ask me another question. Don't ask me another question.
Oh, sorry, I don't want any trouble.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Ugh, I hope Polar's okay. Doesn't seem likely, but let's just continue with our broadcast. Up next, we have some callers with some very strong views on the ongoing problems we've been reporting on. First, let's hear from Bob.
Hi, Dave. It's a pleasure to be on the show. Let me first say that I'm a huge fan of what you have going on here, and I don't believe there's any other viable option when it comes to getting the facts. Now, I believe the cause of this whole discussion and conflict can be fully placed upon the liberals. We see it every day, Dave. Liberals continue to push their agenda as they slowly gain traction in Parliament, and it seems as if nothing is done about it. If they are gaining extra seats in Parliament now, who's to say in a few months they won't control the majority of Parliament? And then who's to say that France won't fall into another deadly radical revolution as we saw before? Revolution means death, Dave. Death for the hard-working, good-mannered conservatives of France. Under the liberal regime, you will no longer be able to function as a member of the working class. Just look at the actions of the 1830s and the deaths that came from it, just because of the liberal inability to compromise. I say this to all the good people of France, before it's too late. We need an intervention from those who support the conservative ways of the government and social life. We need the good, conservative people of this nation to step forward and save us from the villain that is the liberal ideal.
Well put, Bob. Now, let's hear from our final caller, Matt. His views on who is causing unrest and possible solutions.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for having me. First off, I would like to express my displeasure with this newly established liberal regime in France. This new government has had no sympathy for the working class of France. In 1830, the workers of Paris requested that the government protect their jobs, guarantee them better wages, and preserve their traditional crafts. But as one might expect, this extremely liberal regime under Louis Philippe ignored their conservative demands. In response to this, these rightfully unhappy workers have begun to publicly showcase their displeasure, the most notable instance coming in July of 1832, in which more than 800 French people were killed or wounded after the government called for troops to put down a riot. A massacre such as this could have simply been avoided if the liberals could have given up some ground and allowed for labor unions to appease the working class, as we conservatives would have done in this situation. Going forward, the obvious solution would be to allow for labor unions within France so as to alleviate a great deal of the unrest that currently exists within the working class.
Agreed, Matt. Thank you for your input. Unfortunately, folks, that's all we have time for tonight, so let's just pull some main ideas. Liberals suck. They are evil and causing violence and revolution, wish to destroy the tradition, and global warming is a myth. Thank you all, and have a good night.